5:57, and after we terminate LH2 system securing, we only have 2 minutes, 35 seconds full time before we have to recycle back. Also, another reminder to everybody, when we do the switch to internal power, we will get the Christmas tree effect on the avionics screen. So that is normal. That is to be expected. So just remind everybody that we will get that Christmas tree effect once we go into internal power. All right, sequencer, on your command, let's go ahead and initiate the terminal count sequencer for substep alpha and record the UTC time, please.
Copy. Okay. T count has resumed.
And give us a UTC real quick, please.
20, 27, 12.
Copy, 077, 20, 27, 12.
You copy?
T-minus 9 minutes.
All right, it sounds like we actually missed the poll, so we are in the terminal count sequence now, and we are standing by and listening as they progress through their steps.
T-minus 8 minutes. T-minus 7 minutes.
LDS, place your recorder since it continues.
And we're about 6.5 minutes away from hot fire right now.
And T-minus 6 minutes, starting LH2 securing. T-minus 5 minutes, initiating TVC spin start.
Yeah, so at this point, they've basically initiated CAPU start, and basically those will be coming up on helium. They'll go into a what we call the wiggle test, which is where they'll gimbal the engines, and then so that's basically coming up here in just a couple of minutes. On the plus side of that, once we get into the engine starts.
T-minus 4 minutes, CAPU starting LO2 securing.
Okay, so LO2 is being secured now, so that they're really moving forward in the plus count here. Still roughly at T-minus 3 minutes 42 seconds. And so with that, we should be seeing the TVC gimbal profile here in about half a minute or so. Basically at this point they've got the water system all turned on. You'll see that in some of the views, and that'll basically take care of not only the heat coming off of the engines but also dampen the tremendous amount of noise that'll be coming off. As mentioned earlier, the hydrogen burn-off igniters will come on at about 12 seconds.
T-minus 3 minutes, starting PSN 4.
The inertial navigation mode will be complete at about T-minus 10 seconds. And then basically the enable command for ALS at 9.2 seconds. And then we go into engine start roughly at 6 seconds. Those take about 5 seconds to come up to full operating pressures, and basically at that point the stage controller will be go for launch or go for test in this case at 2 seconds, and basically we go forward into our profile for the day.
All right, we're coming up on 2
There's
minutes.
a gimbal test taking place now.
T-minus 2 minutes.
So the call was they just announced at T-minus 2 minutes, which is basically they have finished the gimbal test with the actuators, and they're bringing them back into the null position. And then basically at this point they basically are getting ready for powering up the engines. Again, core stage transitions to internal power at roughly a minute and 30 seconds out.
T-minus 1:30, switch to internal power.
And then if renew gyro compass alignment converges at roughly a minute. And then we'll have the go for ALS. And we'll clear that pole shortly at T-minus 33 seconds.
T-minus 1 minute, following personnel report go, no go for ALS, AEA, TEA,
Go.
AGA,
Go.
REA,
Go.
NEA,
Go.
NTC. Vehicle and B2 systems are go for ALS.
Great. And at this point you see basically the water system has come on full bore.
All right, T-minus 30, we're in ALS.
And you just got the official start of ALS. Next up is the hydrogen burn-off igniters come on at 12 seconds before T0.
Press the line like this. H-boys on.
Go for engine start.
H-boys are on, and engine starts has been okay. Engine starting right now.
personnel. We've got engine start, and we're into the plus count. All personnel, please continue to monitor your systems, and grass is in control. Plus 60 seconds starting TBC profile number. Again, first time we've got a fire indicator. Everyone go ahead and ATS. So ATS. Okay, copy. Do you want me to hold ATS? I got that. Can you cancel it out? Okay, I did that TBC number 1 profile. Remember? Okay, 2 minutes, 30 seconds, starting the FRT profile.
And we're about 3.5 minutes into the plus count.
Okay, first number's still good. That's a facility issue. And it's a vehicle. Keep us 4 minutes, 30 seconds. That should end the FRT profile. Hot mic on 16.
we're just over 5.5 minutes in the plus count.
About 6 minutes. Over there from Michael 16. Yeah, I'm not seeing any TCC violations, so I got the really good. Thanks, sir.
We're coming up on 7 minutes of the plus count.
G plus 7 minutes. Plus 7 minutes, 30 seconds, starting TBC profile number 2. Plus 8 minutes. And then the TBC profile number 2.
All right, so we're just over 8 minutes into the plus count.
Well, personnel are coming up hopefully on the last depletion here, and we have a cutoff. All right. REA, can you verify REA on channel 16? REA on channel 16, verify. Safe engine shutdown, please.
Safe engine shutdown.
And you're in post shutdown standby, correct?
Correct.
Okay, all personnel, that takes us to page 656. All personnel go to page 656 to start the post-hot fire shutdown securing operations.
All right.
Okay, all personnel on page
Bill, as you said
656,
earlier, as we talked about earlier, the team was hoping to get at least 4 minutes of data. And we... All right, they are proceeding with their shutdown procedures now. As we said earlier, the team was hoping to get at least 4 minutes of data, and they did get more than 8 minutes, excuse me. So they should have gotten what they need. The team will obviously need to look at that data, but based on what we've seen, Bill, tell us more about what it looked like to you.
Yeah, so they clearly got the full duration that they were after, which is really great news. And I think you heard the applause. They had, the commanded shutdown, which is exactly what they were looking for. They had no TCC violations, test commit criteria violations that would have prompted an early shutdown. So that was really good news. Clearly there's a lot of data that's going to have to be analyzed. The engineers got to see what worked and what didn't, or what needs to be tweaked and what doesn't. But that said, I think the applause says a lot about how the team feels, that they got through the test, and it looks pretty good right now. Yeah, so there was some, observed burning on the aft end. One of the things that Boeing had done after the last test was to apply a lot of extra cork to the aft end, because we aren't going to we didn't, unfortunately, with this test, right, we're not flying through the thin air as we ascend. And so we knew we were going to have more of that, and that was one of the reasons why they added that. They also put a tape covering over the top of that. We knew that, if the tape gets hot enough, that adhesive layer below the tape surface is going to start burning, and so we clearly saw a lot of that. But there was nothing that prompted a shutdown early, which was really good news.
Great, thank you, Bill. I think that's all the updates that we'll have for you here as the team proceeds through their shutdown procedures. So we'll turn it back over to Lee.
Thank you, Catherine. Congratulations to the team. So as the engineers gather the data from today, we look ahead to the next steps. This core stage will be refurbished and sent by barge to our Kennedy Space Center in Florida. There, it will be stacked in the iconic vehicle assembly building with other elements of the SLS rocket, including the twin solid rocket boosters, which our teams have already begun stacking on the mobile launcher. The core stage and boosters will then be stacked with the upper stage and the Orion spacecraft. All of this work putting us on track to roll out to Launch Pad 39B for a liftoff later this year on Artemis 1. We've got several other firsts on the horizon. This year, the first of our commercial lunar payload services, or CLPS missions, begin with 2 companies delivering instruments to the lunar surface. The golf cart-sized Viper rover will search for water at the moon's south pole. And a small CubeSat called Capstone will head to the moon, scouting the orbit to be used on later human missions. Meanwhile, the hardware for the next 2 Artemis missions, which will carry astronauts to the moon, is coming together. The Orion spacecraft for Artemis 2 is down at Kennedy undergoing assembly, and the spacecraft for Artemis 3, as well as the rockets for Artemis 2 and 3, are also being manufactured right now at Michoud. So that wraps it up for us here today. After a major milestone on America's return of astronauts to the lunar surface, a successful test of the core stage of the Space Launch System rocket. Up next, we'll be replaying the test, and we will have a post-test briefing in about 2 hours here on NASA television. We invite you to follow all of our progress online at nasa.gov/Artemis program, or join the conversation online with @NASA Artemis and @NASA_SLS. Thank you for joining us, and go Artemis.
And all personnel, we've got engine start, and we're for the plus count. All personnel, please continue to monitor your systems, and grass is in control. Plus 60 seconds starting CDC profile number. Again, first now we've got a fire indicator there. Let's go ahead and ATS. Go ATS. Okay, how many do you want me to hold on ATS? I got that. Cancel it out. Yeah. profile. Remember. Starting the FRT profile.
We're about 3.5 minutes into the plus count.
Reference number still good. That's the facility issue. And it's a good one. Keep us 4 minutes 30 seconds. I'll shoot in the FRT profile. Minus 16. What's 5 minutes?
We're just over 5.5 minutes in the plus count.
About 6 minutes. Over there from minus 16. Yeah, I'm not seeing any TCC violations, so I got we're good. Thanks, sir.
We're coming up on 7 minutes of the plus count.
T plus 7 minutes. T plus 7 minutes, 30 seconds, starting TBC profile number 2. T plus 8 minutes. And then the TBC profile number 2.
All right, so we're just over 8 minutes into the plus count.
Well, personnel is coming up hopefully on the last depletion here, and we have a cutoff. All right. REA, can you verify REA on channel 16? REA on channel 16, verify. Safe engine shutdown, please.
Safe engine shutdown.
And your input shutdown standby.
In 1972, America launched 9 human missions to the moon, 6 of which successfully touched down, allowing 12 men to walk on the lunar surface.